Yes, paybacks. Paybacks.
For what? For what?
Paybacks. It's so funny. It's so funny to me. I was waiting for the right moment, and that was the right moment.
Hey, I'm Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post more Australian Open recaps throughout the tournament. Naomi Osaka is continuing her revenge tour here in Melbourne. After avenging her round 1 loss to Karolina Garcia from last year, she got payback over Karolina Muchova after losing their 2024 US Open second round, despite holding 3-set points and Naomi wearing her best outfit ever in her own words. The two-time Aussie Open champ advanced to her first slam third round in 3 years when she beat the Czech 1-6, 6-1, 6-3. In my opinion, this was by far Naomi's best match since she had her baby Shy. Rankings-wise, she did beat Jelena Ostapenko, who I believe was top 10 at the time at the US Open, but in my opinion, Muchova presented a much tougher test, and she passed this test Naomi did with flying colors. I knew Osaka was going to mean business when I saw that she took the braids out from last round, and of course, though, Naomi, she didn't have the best start to this match, as she only won that one game in the opening set, but even still, I got the feeling that she would still win this match and come back. Osaka, she didn't really play that poorly in the opening set. The forehand, though, it was notably off, and really, it was off for a decent part of the match, and she really wasn't hitting a lot of winners off of that side. The backhand was definitely Osaka's big weapon out there in this match against Muchova. I think the main problem was just Naomi getting over the hump and just getting games on the board. A lot of the games were tight in the opening stages of the match. She just wasn't coming out on top of them. Naomi clearly had a different strategy to beating Muchova than, say, a Coco Gauff, who Gauff would normally vary the heights and spins of her shot to exploit the weaker Muchova backhand, but that's really not Naomi's game. She's going to try to want to out-hit Muchova from the ground. And Naomi didn't really start doing this effectively until the second set, and that's when she really started to find her range. Osaka notably improved her service numbers too. In the first set, she served poorly, winning just 45% of her first serve points and 38% of her second serve points. She wasn't really going up and after that serve either like she normally does, as her average first serve speed was just 99 miles per hour since set number 1, and I think that could be perhaps the abdominal issue that she had coming into this tournament and trying to preserve her body overall more. In the second set, Osaka upped that average first serve speed up to 105 miles per hour, which paid off for sure, as she won 80% of first serve points and also 60% of her second serve points. In the third set, Naomi maintained those same exact winning percentages on the first and second serve points won, and of course that helped, but I am more impressed for sure by Osaka's incredible mental fortitude. She could have easily gone away in multiple parts of this third set, and really the whole match, but specifically focusing on the third set, she faced 2 break points at 3-2, and she saved them both with great play, and then at 4-2, she had a break point to basically seal the match, and she had an easy kind of not a sitter backhand, but a wide open backhand cross court winner that she pushed wide, and she ended up losing that game. And I thought, oh my gosh, this might be it for her. But she came right back out and served very, very well to go up 5-3. And then, of course, she broke Muchova to claim the match. So I was very, very proud of her and how she put that disappointing game, that disappointing 4-2 game behind her, and didn't drop another game since after losing that game. You can tell by her reaction just how much this win meant for her. And I think it means probably the most at this point in her comeback. And you saw her get a little bit emotional too. She didn't full on cry like she did at the US Open with Ostapenko, but I saw her being a little bit teary-eyed. And I'm just once again, very, very proud of Naomi about her fight. One thing about Naomi, you can't say that she doesn't fight hard or that she doesn't want it, because she was really intense, not only in this match, but also in her opening round match against Garcia. She's very, very hungry to get back to where she was before. Osaka definitely deserves a lot of the credit, of course, but I think also you got to give credit to her new coach, Patrick Moronoglu. He's clearly a very good fit for her, and I believe she still hasn't lost a completed match since joining with Patrick. She's looked better form-wise and mentally, and she seems more confident and sure of herself too. And she's really, really close, I believe, to the Naomi of old where she was winning slams. Osaka also seems more comfortable doing interviews and showcasing her funny personality. She said afterwards that she was pissed about losing to Muchova in that iconic US Open bow outfit, and she was eager for revenge, which I love to hear. I know it's very early, but I think if Naomi continues to play like this or even improves a little bit more, she can take the title. I'm being fully honest. The next round against Belinda Bencic, of course, will not be easy as Bencic leads their head-to-head 3-2, but Naomi won their last match in Miami, and I think that I favor her to be the favorite because Bencic is still pretty early in her comeback from maternity leave. So the battle of the mamas will be one to watch for sure. Naomi currently, I think, even looks in better form than the two title favorites in Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff, who both tussled through with 6-3, 7-5 wins in the second round. Sabalenka got by a spirited Spaniard in Jessica Bouzas Maniero, recovering from 2-5 down in the second set before reeling off the final 5 games of the match. Sabalenka will be happy for sure to get through this match in straight sets as she continues her streak of not losing a set at the Australian Open since the 2023 final against Elena Rybakina. However, she's got to improve, and I don't think she can play like how she did in the second round match if she wants to beat Clara Towson, as the Dane is in great form right now, of course coming off the title in Auckland, and she dominated her second round match too. Sabalenka was very error prone in this match against Bouzas Maniero, and I think that she returned particularly poorly in this one due to her stubborn tight return positioning and not giving herself enough time. It's really space. She was just going for too much on the return instead of making a high number of returns back in play. Hopefully this would be a good wake-up call for her, but that being said, gotta give credit to her opponent too, Bouzas Maniero. She's no pushover. She played a great match, and she is capable of beating good players, as she did beat Marketa Vondrousova at Wimbledon last year. Coco, meanwhile, recovered from a 3-5 deficit in the second set against Great Britain's Jodie Burrage before winning the final 4 games of the match. Like with Kenin, Coco struggled notably on her serve in this one. She didn't serve as many double faults, only 7 double faults against Burrage compared to Kenin, but still, considering that the roof was closed on Rod Laver Arena, that's not really a great sign. And it's not like she was going up and after her serve either. She only served 3 aces, and a lot of times her first serve was almost as if it were a second serve, so she tried to dial it back at the end, which did help her in getting a higher first serve in percentage. But again, it's a little bit of a worrying sign for me that Coco is not serving quite as well as she did at the WTA Finals and the United Cup, because when Coco serves well, she plays well, but when she serves poorly, her ground game definitely is not as sharp, and we saw that too. Her forehand was a little bit more shaky, and then the backhand also wasn't as strong, and we know that the backhand is Gauff's big weapon out there. I think against a more experienced opponent, Coco would have lost the second set. Burrage, she's still kind of coming back from injury, and she really hasn't accomplished a whole lot on the main tour, so there were definitely nerves with her, and she let Gauff off the hook with unforced errors in the 3-5 and 4-5 games. But you still got to give credit again to Coco for locking in and finding a way, and now she is 7-0 in the year and 14-0 in sets, so props to her for once again finding a way and winning ugly yet again. Up next for Gauff is Leylah Fernandez, the 30th seed, who she beat at the United Cup in straight sets. I don't think Leylah will be a huge threat to Coco. I think Fernandez would have to come up with something special to beat Gauff, even with how poorly Coco has been playing lately compared to the United Cup form, but I wouldn't be surprised if Leylah managed to take a set off of the American. I think Coco has got to round into form quickly before the 4th round, as Osaka or Bencic would be, I think, a big test for her. Unfortunately, China's Qinwen Zheng was not able to battle through her poor form, as Laura Siegemund sent her packing with a 7-6, 6-3 win. Even though she's low ranked at 97 in the world, Siegemund is very tricky. Laura has a lot of variety, and she's very consistent from the ground, which spelled problems for the more error-prone Zheng today. Qinwen's serve was the main thing keeping her afloat in this match, at least until the second set at 1-2, 15-30, where chair umpire Thomas Sweeney issued a second time violation, which meant a loss of serve for Zheng. Qinwen pleaded with the umpire that she could not see the serve clock, but Sweeney didn't budge, and Qinwen clearly rattled, missed her serve badly, and eventually served a double fault to get broken. This really isn't too much of a shocking result, as Zheng played poorly in her opening round match against Anka Todoni. She also didn't play any lead-up tournaments to this Australian Open due to her wanting to recover from her taxing end to her season late last year, which is very understandable. Qinwen also didn't have her head coach Per Riba in the box with her in Melbourne, as he was recovering from a recent hip surgery. It's of course not an ideal start to the Chinese women's season, as she now drops 2 spots to number 7 in the live rankings, but I think that she'll be fine. Qinwen just needed more time, I believe, to recover from last year, and she wasn't in great form coming into this tournament, but I anticipate that she'll be fine for the rest of the year. I gotta give credit to Zheng too for still giving Siegemund a fair handshake after Laura's dramatic tale fell and rolled all on the ground after the win, like she won the whole tournament. That was a funny moment to watch. But yeah, credit to Qinwen for keeping things nice and classy there. Despite Zheng's departure from the Australian Open though, Sabalenka's quarter is still pretty tough. Of course, there's Clara Tauson and then Mira Andreeva. She came from a couple of points from losing, but she's still alive as well. Then there's Dana Schneider against Donna Vekic, which should be a great third-round match. Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova is a former quarterfinalist here in Melbourne. She'll go up against Siegemund, so yes, it's still a great section there. Gauff's quarter, though, might be even tougher, and aside from those 2 matches I already mentioned, we have Badosa and Kostyuk, who both look dangerously good thus far. Jessica Pegula also looks very good right now. She dominated Elisa Mertens 4-2, and she was 0-3 against the Belgian heading into this match, so a great win for the American. That just shows you how great she's been playing right now too. Up next for Pegula is 23-year-old Serb Olga Dandilovic, as the lefty crushed 25th seed Ludmila Samsonova 6-2, 6-1. I think the draw is tough for sure, but still I think Pegula will be the favorite to come through here, and that could spell problems for Coco too, because I think honestly Pegula will be Coco's biggest threat for the entire tournament, to be honest. Transitioning to talking about the men now, Novak Djokovic looked pretty solid in his 4-set win over Portuguese qualifier Jaime Faria. It's not going to get easier for Nole though, who now faces dangerous Czech Tomas Mahac, who outlasted the big serving Riley Opelka in 5 sets. Another seeded Czech, Jiří Lehečka, is in the section after getting his 3rd retirement win of the season, with Hugo Gaston pulling the plug down 1-3 in the 2nd set. Carlos Alcaraz had a very dominant 6-love, 6-1, 6-4 win over Yoshihito Nishioka, and he notably dominated on serve, winning 89% of his first serve points and 71% of his second serve points. Clearly, Alcaraz was happy with his service performance, as he wrote on the camera lens, "Am I a serve bot?" Alcaraz was also close to not having to face a seed at least into the quarterfinals, with Nuno Borges beating Jordan Thompson in straight sets. Borges is now Alcaraz's 3rd round opponent, and then Alexander Vukic, he bested Sebastian Korda 7-5 in the 5th set. Jack Draper avoided the same fate as Korda, earning a Herculean 6-7, 6-3, 3-6, 7-5, 6-3 win over home crowd favorite Thanasi Kokkinakis in 4 hours and 20 minutes. This might be the match of the tournament, as it was an incredible display from both guys who are both injury prone. Draper, he was dealing with a hip problem heading into the slam, and then Kokkinakis had a bum shoulder. It was a great effort, particularly from Jack, who had to deal with the Aussie crowd, a strong opponent in Kokkinakis, and his body, as he also had to come back from 2 sets to 1 down in his opening round win over Mariano Navone. I think though Alcaraz will be the heavy favorite regardless of who he faces in this 4th round if he makes it there, as both Draper and Vukic had to win their first 2 matches in 5 sets, and I anticipate they'll go at it pretty tough in this next 3rd round. 6th seed Casper Ruud was the biggest casualty on the men's side thus far in this tournament, as he fell to Jakub Mensik 6-2, 3-6, 6-1, 6-4. Now, like with Mikkelsen, Tsitsipas, and Fonseca Rublev, this loss was really not that big of an upset at all, as Mensik, of course, is very talented, won the ATP Newcomer of the Year award in 2024, and Ruud has never performed that great in Melbourne. He also didn't look that solid in his opening round 5-set win over Munar. Mensik now plays Spaniard Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, who pulled off a comeback victory over Felix Auger-Aliassime, the Adelaide champion, winning it 6-7, 6-7, 6-4, 6-1, 6-3. This was Felix's third loss at the Australian Open after being up 2 sets to love, which is pretty brutal. Now, as explained by Black Spin Global, a lot happened in this match. It was delayed first a bit due to the rain, and then they even had to change courts because fans were being too loud on the nearby court. And of course, Davidovich Fokina pulled antics like delaying play to protest getting time violations, and he complained at multiple points during the match. But at one point in the 5th set, he sat in his chair for like 5 minutes and waited until the tournament supervisor came out and protested to him. But to be honest, I think that last delay was the final nail in Felix's coffin. But still, he should have won the match regardless. I just think Felix is too nice. He even hugged Davidovich Fokina after the match, pat him on the shoulder, and I'm like, man, like, once again, Felix is better than me, because I would have probably given a salty handshake like Qinwen would have given, because that's ridiculous. It's low-key bordering on gamesmanship, and it's just really not right. I feel bad for Felix though. Another tough loss at a major. I can't remember the last time he went deep at a major and made a quarterfinal. It's been a minute. Anyways, my semifinalist, Tommy Paul, will still be my favorite to win this section after he got an impressive 4-set win over Ken Nishikori. And then finally, in the final section, Zverev section, we have an all-French third-round affair on the cards between Ugo Humbert and Arthur Fils, which I think will be really, really good, judging from their Tokyo final, which was an epic one. I favor Ugo Humbert, though, to get revenge in this one. And the winner will likely face Alexander Zverev, as he has yet to drop a set in this tournament. And he faces Jacob Fernley, who backed up his big win over Nick Kyrgios with the second-round win here as well. Now, looking ahead to day 5, Iga, Alex de Minaur, Jannik Sinner, and Jasmine Paolini on Rod Arena. Then on Margaret Court, we have 4 Americans in action between Navarro, Fritz, Keys, and Leonard Tien, who takes on 3-time finalist Dino Medvedev. That Medi-Tien match is going to be my match to watch for sure on that court, as I think the 19-year-old could pose problems for Daniil. He didn't look that great in round 1, so keep an eye out for that one for sure. John Cain and Kia Aryna have some good matches too. Rybakina is in action against 17-year-old Iva Jovic, and then there's the Berrettini and Rune one. On Kia, Raducanu and Anisimova is a can't-miss match for sure, and then also on another court, there's Shapovalov, Musetti. That is all I have for my day 4 Australian Open recap video, and let me know in the comments what you think about the results, and if you believe that Naomi Osaka is a legit title contender now for this Australian Open. Also, do you think that Coco and Aryna are in danger of losing even before the semifinals? Again, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post my day 5 recap. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I'll see you all next time here on Christian's Court.